time.
Meeting today. Welcome everyone to the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is February 15th, 2024. The time is 7:06. We're going to start the meeting and I'm going to ask that we all rise with the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You're hoping that my myself will getting the feedback. Okay, Maureen, do you want to do a roll call, please?
June Daly. Here. Sid Miller. Here. Diane Joyce. Here. Tim Zigma.
Here.
Ann Rogan has to be excused. Sherman Daly.
Here
Scott Hamel.
is excused as well.
Okay. Steve Biella Jr.
Here.
John Dyken.
Here.
Lisa Glassman, Michael.
And I think he also asked to be excused. Yes. But he says he'll be attending the meetings from here on in. Okay, great. So I have two alternates. I have two seats available. So Stephen Biella and John Dyken will be seated for the excused commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I think better answer from the kid.
Ready? I'm gonna switch mics. So it might be.
Bothered about the next case.
I'll just use it. Okay, you're picking up minutes for February 1st, 2023. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes? Do we have any adjustments or corrections? No adjustments. I'll make a motion to approve as written. Okay, Ms. Dorsey has the motion, Mr. Bittman, Megan with full second, and further discussion. Those in favor? Any those opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Was that a approval or a? Said I.
Which way?
But there was a denial. Or Steve, were you approving or?
Approve, I'm sorry, approved, yes.
Late.
About the minutes, our compliment story for the record. Okay, commission business, the site plan application of John Gages, Stan Chem Polymers Incorporated, prepared by Triton Environmental Incorporated for a storage tank area and related site improvements at 401 Berlin Street, East Berlin, property of Stan Chem LLC in the PI zone. Gentlemen, it's gonna be early evening for you, right? Yeah.
First.
Yeah, I know. Okay, go ahead. I'm always having hair drawn.
I'm Alex Gordon and I'm here to see Ben with Triton Environmental on behalf of Stan Chem Polymers Inc. Going over their site plan application for site improvements. For an expansion for their including above ground storage tank containment area. Improvements to a parking area and some water treatment features as well. They're located at 401 Berlin Street. The property has the Matavasset River to the east, the Route 9 to the north, industrial properties to the west, and then Berlin Street to the south. They've got 18 acres of property, and the southern half is about 12 acres, and that southern half is where the majority of all their operations are conducted. They have various land cover, mostly developed in the southern half, and then they are undeveloped in the northern half. They were given IWWC approval back in December. And their operations go over manufacturing's, they manufacture specialty coatings such as fire retardant paints, high temperature paints, liqueurs, varnishes, acrylics, and acetate latex polymers. Let's see here. Their operations cover raw material storage, product testing, shipping and pickup, and they also have bulk shipments stored outside in above ground containers. They have stormwater discharges that are covered under the Connecticut Deep General Permit for site discharges, stormwater associated with industrial activity. The outfall for all their drainage areas discharge to the Mattabesset River to the east. However, the site improvements area is only limited to drainage area number 4, which also discharges into the Mattabesset River. The site improvements for the containment structure, it's about a 46 by 46 square containment structure. It's raised approximately, it's a few feet, goes to with the bottom of the structure located at elevation 28. It'll have 3-foot high walls. That will provide secondary containment in the case of any spills. And it'll house 4 30,000 gallon tanks. Those tanks will house supply chemicals for the manufacturing process, which will be stored there and then supplied into the building. There'll also be a loading pad, offloading, unloading pad to be constructed adjacent to the containment area. And that'll be used, and additional traffic will kind of go into that area and then go away. Yes. So our proposed improvements are going to be located to the north of building 27, which is their main operations building. And as you can see, we have our secondary containment structure with the 4 above ground tanks. And adjacent to that is the unloading, offloading concrete pad. And then to the north of the containment structure, you have our water quality basin that'll take any sheet flow from the area, treat it, and then discharge it into the Mattabesset River. You will have the site improvements to the parking area to the north, adjacent to existing building 47. Those are located across the way to the northwest over there. And the containment structure loading pad will be, they adhere to all applicable setbacks for detached accessory building. They're all greater than 15 feet on the side lots, and then greater than the setbacks for the front and rear ends. They also, there'll be a slight increase to the impervious area on site. And it also has a lot of features that are going to be unchanged. There's going to be no additional floor area created. Doesn't require any additional parking lots or spots. And the distance to the principal building is about 120 feet.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The 4 storage units, what exactly gets stored in there?
It's going to be additional product that they use for their operations. So it's nothing new. It's just an expansion of what they currently have at the facility. And that's just product that they use during the manufacturing process to create the fire retardant paints and the high temperature paints and all the polymers.
So currently, these chemicals or this product or whatever you want to call it is already on site.
They do have some storage area on site as well. It's actually located inside the main operations building, just to the southwest. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Here, right?
We're jumping in real quick.
Steve Van, professional engineer with Pipe Plant. So just to answer your question, Alex, he helped me with the design, since his first time presenting, so I may not have all the details. And so,
It's just I had this, I was asking, I'm going through the presentation, just so I can explain, is that in my mind, it just kept nagging, what do I have in these tanks?
Sure, sure.
Because obviously then it opens up other questions or other concerns. So please go ahead, but that's the only reason.
Sure, understood. So, what's gonna be stored in the tanks is the liquid product. That again, as you mentioned, is this liquid chemicals that will be used in the production process. So it'll be, stored there. Trucks would come in, unload, the tanker truck would come in, unload into these tanks. And then they'd be stored until they're needed in the production process. And they would be, pumped from the tanks inside the building for the actual production of the paint that are done. But to answer your question, they do have additional storage. So this is just an expansion of an existing product they already have on a facility. And behind, so this is the main production building here, as Alex referenced, is building number 27, as they call it. So behind here to the east, so north is, pointing towards me, to the right. On the east side, they have other storage containment structures and above ground storage tanks that hold these and other liquid chemicals used in production manufacturing process. So those will remain in scope of expansion or additional products that they would do to meet the demand.
And excuse me, and will is it gonna be like separate piping that's gonna bring it to underground into the building?
Yeah, so to answer that question, yes, the product of pump lines and utility lines pull up above ground. Because we're in a floodplain here, to meet the requirements of the floodplain ordinances, everything has to be above ground. So those will all be elevated and connect from where the tank will be stored. These are the 4 tanks. They will be pumped above ground to the existing manufacturing building.
Good, Tim.
Can you tell me what the size of the payment is? It's 3 foot high, or was it, what is it?
It's about 46 by 46, so.
Okay.
So
So it's,
maybe not. So, these are regulations state, so there are various regulations for secondary containment of storage tanks of this nature. And those state that you have to provide containment for catastrophic failure of tank in storage. So if they're all different sizes, it's it would be the 110% of the largest storage tank would have to be contained inside of the walls. Or 10% of the largest, 10% of the combined total of all the tanks. Or 100% of the largest tank plus enough freeboard in there to account for the amount of rainfall in 25-year storm, which is about 4 or 5 inches.
so you have 120,000 gallons of
Yeah.
liquid,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
By a 46 by 46 unit.
correct.
So if you have a total catastrophe of 1 tank, it's 30,000 gallons going into that unit.
Correct.
And 46 by 46. That's 3 foot high, right?
That's 3 feet high.
I don't know, you have to do the math.
We've done the math. I don't know if it's in the application. I think it's before.
16,000. 16,000. Times 3, so.
It's 45,000, be 50,000. So
Never heard that.
what I'm saying is basically, it probably will contain 30,000. The thing, the liquid, but it's more than one tank, but it's not most of it.
Right.
My problem is the Mattabassa River 15 feet away. Okay, and that Mattabassa River is already polluted very much. Okay, and it's been improving, but over the years, but it's very, very polluted. And the source of fire service for the building is the Mattabassa River. So it's going just south of where that tank is, the tanks are going. So if there was a leak in the tanks, the fire services just go pump that right back out onto the ground or on into the building. Because that's where it is placed. The fire service draft from that site, south of the main building. There's a water testing area, I think it is a little small building.
Yeah.
Right beside that, there's just two drafting sites there. So what happens is if this is on that border of that river. So I'm afraid of pavement being anywhere near that river.
Sure.
Because, and we've had tanks here, not from you guys have been great. Okay, a lot of tanks leak here over the years. And that's why I'm trying to figure out why you're putting it next to the river and you can't put it between two of the buildings up there on the west side of the property. Or, you know, back on the property north that you own. You know, because being next to that river is a problem. Sure. Inherent problem that's in the buildings where the buildings are placed right now. And that is where building, I think is a water testing site. You know, personally fighting fires inside that building for years. It's a nightmare. Okay, so I really have a problem with anything that chemicals or something that's flammable. And I don't know if it's polymer or what it is, but it's a flammable liquid. You know, you have a fire resistant system, on it now, or just containment.
It's just containment, and just, I understand the concern, in proximity to the river, and the associated wetlands, in that area. The reason that we did actually look at other locations on property, this could possibly go. Unfortunately, there wasn't really, we had a graphic during the wetlands presentation to show places on property that work within a wetland, work within a wetland buffer, will work within the floodplain. And, because there is wetlands, along the entire east side, I'm sorry, the Mattabessa on the east, you have wetlands along the west. And, the entire, it leaves a very, very small window, where you can be placed outside of those
You
areas.
have a berm on the west side and the upper side, north side,
Right,
where the railroad tracks used to be.
right, so it's
Okay.
Commerce Drive is on the west
You
side.
know, there's a automatic berm, this berm there, that would keep it out of the well.
Well, the wetland actually is at the base of the hill. This Commerce Drive on the
Yeah.
west, right, it's up higher and it's sloped down property, and then the wetlands are all on the base. believe it or not, all the water that comes into this area ends up in the Mattabesset River. It kind of flows around the operations area and goes in. So where we're talking about putting this thing is essentially, this is an old storage, a shed, you know, it's kind of dilapidated, right, it's falling apart, but that's, they're gonna demo this building and that's where the payment structure will go.
Right.
We did look at other places where it could go. And this, from a operations standpoint, from a safety standpoint, this was the best place because they do have, you know, tanker trucks coming and going out of this area. And again, with the floodplain, everything's gotta be elevated, all the utilities, you know, pump lines, things like that, electricity. So they want to try to limit that as much as possible, especially with trucks, traffic driving through here, right? Just to minimize the chance of, God forbid, somebody hits, you know, a stanchion or a pole or a support, you end up with, you know, a pump line or electricity, you know, service taken out. Right, so, I mean, as far as the containment is concerned, you know, I can give you a kind of a graphic, this helps me a lot, see this. And it helps a lot of people see this, what it kind of would look like.
Can you get back to the speaker? So that.
Yes. Yeah.
Can everybody see? it?
Yes.
Do you want to think about it?
No.
I'm gonna stop sharing because you're showing that. I
Sure.
don't know that.
I don't
The
think.
materials I have, I was actually gonna ask because I had seen it. And I'm like, I
Sure,
don't have it.
sure.
Yeah.
So if you were to try to you know, orient yourself here. The north would, I guess, be in back to the left. Mattabesset River will be on the back side here, out in this direction. This is a little deceiving, so there wouldn't be any pavement or anything back here, this is just to show the contrast. But the building, storage building, the manufacturing building would be to the left. And this is kind of what it would look like, so these are the 4 tanks. And this, you know, they're inside of this containment structure with a 3-foot high wall. So there's no roof on it. And so this is kind of what it would look like. It's raised up off the ground, but floodplain, so in a flooding situation, water from Mattabesset can flow underneath it, you know, so underneath, instead of it being a hindrance to floodwaters, which is why they elevated it up off the ground. It also helps with the impervious areas and regular stormwater. Actually gets some filtration and get down there now with the buildings, you know, the buildings in there. So I don't know what I can do to say to alleviate your fears of a worst case scenario, as I said. StanChem is doing everything that they're supposed to be doing as far as a state and federal level, provide containment. And again, what you would normally see in a day-to-day operation, you know, you'd be getting the drips and maybe leaks, things like that. But this is what it's designed for is if one of these tanks completely fails, that entire volume of one of these tanks would contain that structure. And then they would have to, you know, come in and pump it out. And clean it up.
Is there a way to move that tank field a little bit further away from the river, only 15 feet or maybe 30, 45 feet point area? And put a dirt berm in there or something that contains a secondary containing type thing, because, you know, there's a time span of emergency here, one of those tanks that I lose, it's quick. And if there's even a dirt berm around it, somehow, by moving it to the west a little bit, it might have one secondary thing in the time span before it hits that river.
Sure.
I watched chemicals over here away from the river.
Yeah,
I've witnessed it myself.
Sure.
And your company is not one of them. I praise your company because I live in East Berlin, I don't smell it. You know.
Out of curiosity, how high are the tanks?
So each tank is 30 feet high. Yeah, from a layout standpoint, moving the tanks further to the west. So this would actually be a second offloading area for that. Right now. They have an offloading area, this truck sits, this is where the truck's coming now. They would pull into this space and they would unload, other trucks would queue up waiting to use this space. So to take this, and then this, secondary, for, they can unload two trucks at the same time, so. This truck would offload to the existing storage tanks. Trucks coming here would then offload into one of the four, new tanks here. Problem is with shifting this out, what ends up happening is you're gonna end up hindering access to this first loading or offloading area. So, again, there isn't a lot of opportunity other places. And then again, we get into, as I mentioned before, all the above ground infrastructure that we have to, move along with that, so.
So if your testimony is that you cannot move the tanks, that it just wouldn't be viable. Is there room to create a berm, as Mr. Sigma is suggesting, at its current place? To serve as a second containment, or are we?
So. Creating a berm in this location could be problematic, because not that they don't want to do it. but-
No,
Yeah.
that's
But
not.
it becomes problematic, for two reasons. One, we're in a wetland setback area here. Two, we're in a floodplain. So if you're going to bring in fill or create mound, what that does is it takes storage capacity away from the floodplain, which could then impact other parts of the property or other properties downstream. So we don't want to place more material into the floodplain and then ends up displacing water during a flood situation. Again, not to be a stickler, but we did go through wetlands, they brought up some of these same concerns. In the end, they approved the plan like it is. So it's from a planning and zoning standpoint, we do meet all of the bulk standards or height, increase area, building coverage, all those types of things, so. I don't know what to do further to. Alleviate the concerns other than providing entertainment, for PA and that's just any regulations. And again, we're talking about a catastrophic failure here and to have what, it's very, against your nameplate, but
That's okay.
what you're suggesting, statistically, is very minute for more than one of these tanks to just, again, have a catastrophic failure at the same time. So I'm not sure what else we can do.
Diane?
Just one question,
Sure.
it may lead to more, I don't know, but, are the tanks, designated to contain one particular product, or is product shipped up, like transferred to different tanks? And if products are transferred to different tanks, they're not designated, are they reactive to one another, and what is your process to not have a reactive issue?
Sure. So as far as I am, well, all the tanks that are in here are all stainless steel. Because there's there's no reactivity between any of the chemicals that they would store on site, so they're all conducive to that. I can't say with absolute certainty that it's the same chemical in each of the four tanks. We don't have a representative from StanChem here tonight, maybe be able to answer that question. But there's been no indication to me, at least, that they would react if different chemicals were mixed, or there wouldn't necessarily be a reaction treat chemicals, and I would say that they wouldn't have two different chemicals, like they wouldn't have a certain amount of one chemical and then they top it off with a second different chemical, right? If they were gonna do that, take that be purged, clean, so
That's where my question is, that's where my question is leading though. As to whether, what the steps are to, assure that doesn't happen.
Mhm.
So, there must be, protocols in place, either, prescribed by permitting that you already have in place, or, whatever, safety standards you have to follow either through OSHA or thereabouts. I assume they're in place.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Out of curiosity.
yeah, operational procedures, I'm sure they have something like that in place. Quote, for its use. But if it's something that was a concern. If they have. Today. Like what they do. They have tools and polymers and things like that. Really currently. So, if it's something, we can certainly discuss it with them and as long as it's not, proprietary tree type of thing, I do want to hear that with you. But again, it's not my fault. It's not my decision.
Maureen, I think you wanted to ask something.
No, I just thought that that was one aspect that I didn't hear explained that I thought was important to us when we had some pre-development meetings or pre-application meetings. Can you put back up the elevation drawing? Yeah. So, yeah,
Yes.
yes, please, thank you. So the pipes you see at kind of mid-level.
Yeah.
Well, and this is as far as the orientation of the building and how, or to the building and how it was explained to us. We also did site visits out there. They had an interdepartmental site visit of their facility. And those pipes go directly into the corner of the building where the existing tanks also go in. And there's this huge room inside that then have more tanks that get filled up. And there's like some fire room between as well, and in another area with lots of shovels. But I just wanted to explain that there are elevated pipes that came up because they're like, okay, the tanks are out here, now what? Or they were proposing them, so they weren't there, we couldn't see it, And they explained that these elevated pipes would be running into that back corner.
Yes, I have. That prompts another question, because now I'm thinking of the height of the tanks. There would never be any plans to utilize the tanks like for a flagpole or an antenna or.
No, this would be.
Gotta get that remembered.
Yeah.
Service. Swimming
Yeah.
pool.
I know you've been through wetlands already. But my question's probably gonna get back to there. So north of the tanks is detention basin,
Correct,
water detention basin, and it'll run off into the river from
that's correct.
okay? So, overflow and go in the detention basin and find its way into the river over the waterfall. The waterway. I mean, it's close.
I'm sorry, what would happen in case?
Yeah, so if the detention overflows, is it gonna go into that basin and overflow?
Probably talking about one of the storage tanks.
One of the storage tanks,
Over the top.
let go, and 30,000 gallons are in the storage area.
Mhm.
Okay, if there's. I mean, you could probably get a lot more than 40 gallons in there, but 30,000, but if there's overflow. My question was, put the berm there to control it from going into Matabata River, and now I see that. Sediment or water plant there. To go in that water. And go into the river that way, because there's a automatic drain into the river there.
Sure. Sure.
And that's, you know, I mean. I've seen these tanks go through, you know, I just experienced one up in, Weathersfield. But that was old tank. You know, and new tanks are built better than those old things. I just want, you know. Myself being in fire service 40 years, I could think of a lot of capacity things, sure. You know, I mean, so my mind will go over the.
Staff have any other concerns over what we've addressed with Stanton?
No, we did get comments, like I said, we had several pre-development meetings, so, you know, concerns were raised by staff during that whole process. And like I said, that did include, many interdepartmental, building departments, fire marshal, engineering, wetlands, et cetera. So, it was well vetted during the pre-application process. However, the town engineer did provide some comments today, which, while, you know, to sum it up, the following are not technical comments requiring responses, but all noted for the record. So he wasn't, you know, didn't have comments that needed rectifying. Wetlands agent, you know, confirmed that the wetlands application 23-12 WF was approved December 6, 2023. And as far as our own staff comments from the planning department, as I said, we vetted.
Yeah.
Additional concerns, of course, the comments that are in the staff comments that I just handed out are the pretty standard ones, erosion controls, you know, all those things that, you know, we just like to make sure is addressed.
Commissioners, oh yes, June.
The platform or the containment box, that's above ground, so that's like 5 feet above ground. So then with the height of the containers, I mean, the ultimate top height is closer to.
So the ultimate, I guess, from the ground elevation to the top of the tanks, there's 2 feet of clear space, so it'd be about 33 feet altogether.
Okay. Underneath that structure of the containment box in the 4 containment building or towers, the under part, the structures that support that, that's been vetted, I'm guessing, with engineers, so that water coming in and out, floodplain coming in and out, doesn't erode that over time to where it could maybe make it less
Sure, so
like compromised.
to quickly address the construction methodology. So there's a structural engineer team will be designing that. Preliminary design was that the entire thing would be resting on piles that will be driven down to bedrock. I believe there were 25 piles that will be driven down to bedrock. And then maybe if I can get this up.
Yeah. I think we had some of that in our email that we got, but I haven't seen it here or in our. Okay.
Did you have the structural? So if you can see, there are normal beams that run beneath the floor of the containment structure, of the two walls and floor of this. So the piles were driven, then these beams are then poured, the integral, it's put on top of the piles, and then the floor and the wall, everything will be built up on that. So actually, so this drawing, this is a technical drawing that was in the application. So this view, you can see these are the piles that are being driven down lower grade. And then just another view. There's another shot of it from a different angle, so these are the piles. These are the concrete beams, reinforced concrete beams that will run the length of the entire structure, and then the floor and the walls that'll all be constructed, reinforced concrete.
All right. And, yes, John,
This actually will be directed more towards Maureen. I note on the staff comment sheet that the fire marshal did indicate that spill containment and spill prevention measures have been addressed. In your meetings, Maureen, with other town departments, do we know if this tank will be subject to periodic inspection by the fire marshal or any other department? Or maybe even the state?
Yeah, I don't know. I do believe in the tour, we were told about their inspection process, et cetera. Protocols for us to walk around the building were pretty strict, but again, they have town officials there, so you can expect that. But I don't wanna speak to, to confirm anything.
Okay,
I
thank
don't
you.
know what happens,
Maybe,
what those requirements are.
no, I thought maybe Commissioner Zigma might know, but I figured I would go with how staff goes.
That's gotta be.
Okay.
expected.
Tim?
Yeah, just one of you got the containment area. And, we build everything to a 100-year storm, but we got our 100-year storm about 4 times this year. Last year, where's the water go to? Does it go land in there and fill up? And then when there's a problem with the tanks, it's got water down it. Is there a system to pump water out of there? And how that system would say it's water or chemical, I don't know. And my other question is, you have a stockpile area on this new map. What are you stockpiling in there?
You're looking at the erosion control plan for
Right here. Stockpile right there.
So that will address the first question. With the rainwater, as I mentioned, there is no roof here, so. It will collect precipitation during every precipitation. It'll only be the direct precipitation, so if we get 100-year storm of 8 inches of water, you'll have 8 inches. Give or take, because the tanks, do take up some space, so, maybe it'll be 11 or 12 inches. I haven't done that now. But again, the walls are 36 inches tall. So the system, and this is part of their stormwater permit that they have through the DEP. They have to keep the space available for spills. Right. So after every rain event, they have to go out there, they inspect the water for any kind of sheen or foam or floatables, things like that. Make sure it's clean. If it is clean, they can pump the water out. It can be done manually. With a manual trash pump, with a sump pump. If it's not, it's their responsibility to clean that water. Once it's been cleaned or treated, they can discharge it. If they don't treat it, they would have to pump it into a collection vehicle truck. And that would be disposed of off-site at a water treatment facility.
So that's a procedure that probably should be in writing of what they do when there's a rain storm or big rainstorm. Okay, that procedure is writing and in writing. And then when the town or state or whatever go down there and see 10 inches of water in there, okay, you didn't proceed, you didn't follow the procedure, there's probably something, okay. Now the storage, what did you say about the storage area?
I didn't get to that yet.
Okay.
So just so you know, they have what's called a general stormwater permit issued by the state. One of the requirements of that permit is that they have to develop a stormwater pollution prevention plan. And that is in writing, it has inspection requirements, it has stormwater monitoring requirements, how often they do it. They have inspection checklists, inspection frequency. So all these different things they have to do. One of those is inspecting the tanks on a periodic basis for valve. It's more about valves, piping, which is leaks, drips, or things like that. So they have that plan in place, so it is in writing, how they manage stormwater at the facility. So that is in writing and it's kept at the facility, all the checklists, all the monitoring data, all of the inspections that they've done. They've been regulated by this permit, so all that is in writing now, and this will just be a continuation of the things that they're already doing. As I said, they already have other tanks, they're containing structures, that they do this already, so this will just be an extension of what they're already doing. To address the question about the stockpile, so that's part of the erosion control plan, so that is any kind of excavating they would do, whether that's for the basin itself, or stormwater structures, anything that's below grade, which are gonna be generating material. So if they don't excavate that, put it directly into a truck and haul it off site, we just wanted to indicate somewhere on the property, in a construction area where they could store that soil that they're gonna be generating during construction. So that's a temporary location for where they could put soil material.
But that is, blocks, parking lot type thing. It's, it was for trucks that came in tonight and had to go to sleep with them. Okay, well, that is not going to be available. And that was put in when this building over here was put in. And I don't know if this parking lot is there now, right now,
Yeah.
or it isn't. But that stockpile, the show will eliminate use of that.
So, I'm sure. So the blocks aren't there now. That right now, that area is used for them to park empty trailers. They're not, you don't have overnight parking, they're not the rigs themselves.
The trailers, they don't.
Tractor, the trailers. So they'll put them there. So right now it's just, compacted gravel. So what we're doing is to create, to manage some of the stormwater on the property, putting those blocks in. So yes, the stockpile, the way it's shown on the drawing, the blocks wouldn't be there at the same time as the stockpile. So if they had stockpile material during construction, it would be in that location. That material would have to be hauled away, so that they then put it blocks or open cell blocks.
So that blocks are part of this plan.
Yes, it's part of this project.
I guess they mentioned them when they were putting this building over here. I didn't know if it was in the other plan or not.
No, yeah, no, when they did the new storage building, they did not do that.
All right, any other questions here? And then I'll go to the commissioners that are online. Steve Biella. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I do not.
Okay, all right. So this is, Maureen, did you want to add anything? or not?
Just that the description of the stormwater management, is on page 5 of, and into page 6. With regard to the precipitation in there, and so they partially, his response is partially in there, not the complete management of that water, but how it is, inspected and discharged manually.
I'm just wondering if those procedures or manual should be attached to the maps file. Because when town goes down there and sees they're not done or whatever, they have a copy of what was supposed to be done and when it was supposed to be done. And then you may have enforcement because the.
Add a note to the plan.
I don't know if you got enforcement powers enough, but at least you have it in the plan. And, back again, I would like to see everything that we do on a separate page on the plan, because
Well, I think
when
Maureen,
commissioner comments come in tonight, they're about the other plan.
don't you save like a presentation like this for an applicant? Doesn't it stay with the record anyway?
So their application is, most of divided into needs to be gotten about is kind of their application file. Both would be, it would be referenced,
Yeah.
and we can reference it, but, you want to specifically notate in conditions that's appropriate as. Or ask to have the plan.
This is under Commissioner business, so do we need, a vote, motion?
Well, I guess I have a motion, make a motion.
Okay, that'd be good.
I have utmost confidence in the review that our staff has done and, inland wetlands and all of the other, folks that have oversight on the application, so, I will make a motion to approve the site plan application of John Gagus, Stan Chem Polymers Incorporated, prepared by Triton Environmental Incorporated for a storage tank area and related site improvements at 401 Berlin Street, East Berlin. Property is Stan Con LLC in the PI zone, subject to staff comments as presented to the commission.
Okay. We have a motion, but do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dyken. Further discussion or questions, or? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your patience and answering all our questions. We really appreciate it. And you did a good job, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off. It's just, I knew that in order for me to follow on through, I had to stop and find out what was it. Okay, great. And then we're gonna go into the public hearings, and you want to read the call, Diane, because Brian is excused.
Fine, hard to get. Town of Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission notice of public hearings. The Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings at their regular meeting on Thursday, February 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Interested parties may join the meeting and participate in the public hearings in person or remotely as provided below. Special permit with site plan amendment application of David Camacho Enterprises LLC to add a proposed automotive used dealer use per Berlin zoning regulations, section 6G, 3G, and 11R at 86 Woodlawn Road, property of J&S Enterprises Incorporated in the BT1 zone. The applications and related meeting materials are available at the Planning and Zoning Department, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Remote access to the meeting is available by Zoom video conference, and the link is provided. The notice is dated this 31st day of January 2024 at Berlin, Connecticut. Brian Rogan, Secretary, Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission. This was from in the written legal notices classified advertising on Monday, February 8th. It says 58. February 8th, 2024, and Monday, February 12th, 2024, posted with the Berlin Town Clerk Thursday, February 1st, 2024.
Okay, thank you. And I think all right.
You want to announce?
Yeah, let's know the motion for the continuance or the postponement. Item B,
We should at least announce that it's, and then you can make the motion on it, so then they can.
yeah. So,
Okay. Well, so we understand that the item for public hearing that was just announced has made a request to postpone the public hearing. With that in mind, I will make a motion to postpone special permit with site plan amendment application of David Camacho Enterprises LLC to add proposed automotive used dealer use per Berlin zoning regulation.
okay, so we have a
On to
To
March 2025, okay.
not March 58.
March 7.
March,
Okay, March 7, postponed to the meeting of March 7.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Miller. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's
Aye.
opposed. So we won't be listening to that special permit application, but let's go on to special permit site plan application of Thomas Kokomo Brothers for the proposed garden center use of Walpole at 398 Chamberlain Highway, MBL 8-3 -12F-6A, property of the DAP Investments LLC in the R21 zone. Okay, so do we have anyone here? Well, for the applicant. The applicant's not here. This will make it easy. Okay. So the applicant's not here, so maybe we should. We have somebody who wants to address the commission.
I'm very confused by that, as we did in my office the other day.
Okay, well. Hi.
Okay, my name is Dolores Nye, 4 Vineyard Drive. This is the second time Mr. Kokomo hasn't showed up. That's very disrespectful to me and my neighbors and to the board. I want this settled tonight. I know he knew he was here the last time and he knew what the date was. And this can't be keeping going on your agenda and we showing up. I don't know what his game is, but I would like it settled tonight. He shows that he has no interest in what's going on here, or he would have showed up if it was that important to him. I'm very angry with this, and I don't like to be disrespected this way. So the last time, I don't know if it was you or somebody, we were going to make a decision because he didn't show up. And they said, well, we'll give him another try. And now he's not here.
I appreciate and I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think that the commission will take it up and will handle it as we see fit. But thank you.
Well, tonight, it'll be settled.
Well, I'm in the public hearings right now, so we have to get into the deliberation aspect
Okay.
from there. But thank
Because
you.
this is getting to be ridiculous today.
I hear your frustration. I understand your frustration. So it is noted. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We really do appreciate it. All right, sorry. John.
That's really good.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening, John O'Brien, 12 Vineyard Drive. We try to make this short and sweet.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Not like it, Bill, but.
Okay, I just want to pat the envelope down. I have the pictures and the board can keep them. Okay, I want to start off with, notice of cease and desist order, and that was handed out to them back 12/8/22. And from, what I understand, when first they say, well, Tommy Kokomo didn't own the property, it was a corporation, LLC. Well, he certainly did, 70% of it. John, I can't remember his last name, only 30%. Then there's Danny, they said he was 1% of the sales. But he was controlled, and he controlled the whole time. But we'll get on basically the cease and desist and everything. That was 12/8/22. And Tom Kokomo certainly did own the property back then. Since then, it's gotten much worse, much worse. This is,
Just if I may, and I'm sorry, sir, I don't mean to interrupt you at all. It's just, I'm concerned about the fact that what's noticed for tonight's meeting, and this is Jennifer Capola from Seal and D'Onofrio Corporation Council. What's noticed for tonight's meeting does not concern that enforcement. So it concerns, an application that's before you for public hearing, and that needs to be the focus.
okay,
Because when we go outside the subject matter, it is problematic. You know, if in fact, you know, any action at some point in the future needs to be taken and, potentially staff comes to you for direction or something like that, we don't want, you to be compromised in any way, okay?
Julie,
okay, so in other words, because Tommy Kokomo is not here tonight, we can't talk about it.
Well, the enforcement issue is not something that's on this agenda.
Okay,
So it's a due process issue
okay,
ultimately.
you could just pass that down, put it in the envelope, please. Okay, I'm not gonna go one by one on the issues, that take too long, but we've taken within the past week. Showing that the nursery has gotten worse, not better. As far as the junk clutter, the junk and the clutter. Dumpsters full, there's 2 10-yard dumpsters that are sitting there. Although in this, it's gonna show where it says Walpole, that they're doing business out of there, that sign's probably been up there for close to a year now. It's now 21. You know, not only that, the R21 zone, there's commercial trucks that are there basically all night long into the early morning hours. Tommy Kokomo says, oh no, they're not parked there overnight. You get everyone that basically neighbors, they see the trucks go out. Not only that, seeing that it's getting warmer, we have an influx of delivery start with the tractor trailer trucks coming out.
Excuse me, John, just really quick, is there a cease and desist on this property?
There is, and it's under appeal to the zoning board of appeals, who will be, meeting, it's on their agenda at the end of the month.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Again, the property's getting worse. They're stapled together, but if you go one by one, I don't know if you have a meeting after this, but it's gonna be almost self-explanatory. It's gonna be like the rear yard of 4 Vineyard Drive, which is Dolores, what she's gotta look at. Then it's gonna have my rear yard. It's gonna have 374 Chamberlain Highway, which is basically the nursery on the right-hand side, what they have to look at. And we won't get into the fields because I have all the information for inland wetlands. Really. But this is basically.
It speaks
Pretty well
for itself.
self-explanatory. It's got the pictures of bare hoops, the junk, the piles of trash and everything else that
And I
he
think,
said was cleaned up. Some of it was cleaned up, from one side of the lot to the middle or to the other side. That was his cleaning, not disposing of it.
thank you.
The thing is, I trust your judgments. I found this panel very honest and fair. I made the comment, how would you like it in your rear yard? I would like to move that nursery in the time of Kokomo's backyard, but. Thank you. Have a nice
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Like the ZBA action on this property. It's the zoning board of appeals. What's the appeal?
Cease
We
and
got
desist.
the appeal and this.
He's appealing the cease and desist.
But this is the zoning violation.
Cease and desist, and again, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it reads that it's the use of the property without approvals.
Okay, so that's,
Use of the property, Walpole,
that's.
use of the property without.
So my understanding is that's using of the property. basically a subject that we have here. This, the don't violation, the don't violation here that has the property and the garbage on it. That's a zoning violation, right?
So the unsightly materials,
Unsightly materials.
is that what you're?
Yeah, yeah.
During the testimony appears to be unsightly material.
Unsightly materials.
I do. Yeah, so, in order with regard to that, I don't know if the complaint came in with that detail on it. So we have to have the complaint in writing to then proceed with the enforcement order. The enforcement order was proceeded with regard to the use of.
Okay, because I've been out to the property, I drove out there 2 days ago. Before the snowstorm, whatever that was, the day before the snowstorm. And it's totally a zoning violation out there with junk.
So,
Okay.
so again,
To our
a
list.
cease and desist has been issued. It sounds like the conditions of complained of are inexplicably connected to the use that's going on. Okay, so, I mean, so we do have, as is the property owner's right, appeal pending before the zoning board of appeals. That's due to get adjudicated at the end of the month, at their regular meeting. So I think we need to steer away from talking about the enforcement, and we need to talk about the application or the commission, I recommend. Sorry. Put myself in with you sometimes. We need to focus on the special, it's a special permit site plan application, we need to focus on that. Whether or not, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about which direction to go in, and I had to check because I remembered him being here last time, and I checked the minutes, he was here last time. I think that, you know, that in terms of any comments you're receiving, it really does, again, it needs to focus on stuff that is in the nature of the considerations for you to determine whether or not this is appropriate under the application that you have before you and your special permit standards that are applicable and so forth.
I understand. I'm just trying to get something straight in my head. Okay, there is a site plan amendment that happened on this property for the greenhouses and everything else. All that has not been applied to. Our site plan approval is not applied to this greenhouses that were away in the back and toward the wetland. There was pieces of that garbage everywhere, which our map that we approved has not been done. They haven't been done since day one when we approved. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, when we approve a plan, and this is what's supposed to be done on a property, and it's not done, then we have to do as our commission, some kind of enforcement action of say, wait, stop. Okay, you can't do this because you only got planned for this. Okay, and
So I think what you're attempting to articulate in some is that you're uncomfortable with the idea of contemplating an approval of a subsequent application when you have a site plan application that's not complied with and somebody is in violation.
never been compliant.
And that's, you know, that is, of course, you know, something that is a reasonable consideration for any application that you have before you of whether or not, you know, you're gonna issue a new approval to an applicant who is not in compliance with the regulations, you know, as they stand before you. I mean, this is something that's comes up all the time.
Yeah, it's been a problem in many applications that the property wasn't conform to what the application before that was done. And now they're there for put another application in. And my feeling is they can't do the property the way they said the first time. then how am I gonna trust them to do the property the second time? Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, this application should be thrown out basically, or rejected, or rejected without prejudice, whatever the commissioner wants to feel. But it's not a good application right now because there's violations out there of our approvals before already. So until the violations have been cleaned up and taken out of there, okay, which is most of this junk were the violations because they knocked down some of these scoop things and stuff like that. And the cars from and everything else in the wetlands. There's all kinds of violations out there. So, I mean, I think it's a time for this commission to say, oh, we're not gonna look at anything unless it's conforming before we get it. You know,
Okay.
clean it up.
I have this gentleman who's been waiting.
Hi,
So
my name-
I'm gonna accept your remarks before.
My name is Richie Sear. I live at 300 Chamberlain Highway.
Yes.
I lived there for 36 years. We built those string of houses along the highway back in '88 when I worked for Park Builders. And this year here, I noticed the water in the wetland is backing up. I remember when I first built that house, I had my boys when they were young. We went and we cleaned that whole brook out. 'Cause the boys used to like to go fishing and stuff, you know. And I don't know what's going on, but all the trees back there are all collapsing. They're dying. I know we had a lot of rain, but it's never been like this. So to me, that tells me there's a problem somewhere. Because the water is backing up and to me, somebody's backfilling something that they're not supposed to down the other end. I'm not pointing the finger, but somebody's doing a no-no.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Mr. Sear.
And I would recommend when you take it to the wetlands commission, because this commission doesn't have.
Okay, I didn't know.
I understand, but the wetland commission has that authority for wetland issues. And, you know, we do take it in consideration, we say,
I appreciate
but
that.
they're the ones that.
Okay.
I think we all concur with what's happening. Yes, Maureen.
Just for the record, and I'm actually double checking the property card now, but, for clarity purposes, the applications have been, was submitted by different people and entities. Although we now know that Mr. Kokomo was a party to both entities. As the applications came in, they came in with their, so the approved site plan was to, is that what? To Daniel Laviana and John Oliski Benziano at Connecticut Grows LLC. They are the individuals who appeared before you for representing Connecticut Grows LLC and are no longer, as far as we understand, a portion of the entity DAT Inc. I think it's DAT Inc. Might be DAT Enterprises, DAT Investments LLC that owns the property now and Tom Kokomo is applying under. So while the site that we determined from the zoning standpoint that and the property had gone into foreclosure in the midst of it all when that business club went out. So that was a different application and therefore I had instructed that the special permit, you know, a new garden center would need to come under new consideration to the Planning and Zoning Commission because you always do look at it for their specifics and what they are for meeting the parameters of a garden center. We do now know that he was party to both entities, however, you know, that was through the enforcement process and this going on. But holding Connecticut Grows was the site plan that was approved.
Yeah, and
And then,
Even part of it ended in Connecticut roads.
Right, but he did not appear before you, you did. He did not even, like, we did, we don't research someone's percentage of ownership, and we're told he was not
I understand, that,
operating and understand, that's what they testified.
but him
You
being
know, it's
part
their
of the
business.
Connecticut roads, he's still part of it. The violation that's there now, because he had a percentage of the company then,
Well,
okay?
but even if.
30% or 70% or whatever the split was. Okay, still was one of the owners of the property, no matter if he had a very minor.
But even if he wasn't, let's just say hypothetically, for the point of discussion, even if he wasn't part of that application, the mere fact that he's coming to make a new application on top of that leaves us responsible to go back to say, wait a minute, this first application has never been resolved or met its obligation to the commissioner of the town. So therefore, you really can't go forward with something else, as Mr. Zigma pointed out, and you as well.
Yeah, and it is a position that many commissions take, is, you know, you're not coming forward being in compliance with the prior approval. And, you know, there's some commissions that, you know,
There you go.
you don't even get into, you know, having an extensive public hearing about it, because there are aspects of it that sometimes are non-negotiable. In terms of, you know, just, there are some things that every commission, every town, in terms of compliance with regulations, there's no discretion. So, and I don't know the particulars enough to, in terms of the approval of what's existing out there, to point to those things, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
6 weeks ago,
Okay.
6 weeks ago, when he brought this application to us, one of the first thing I told him is to make it in compliance now. Okay, clean it up, make it in compliance now. Been 6 weeks, it's still not in compliance. Simple as that.
All right, so we have this, John, I know you've been waiting to talk, but I think the commission, is there anything
I forgot
quick
to say
you
what
want to
the-
add on?
No, Army Corps of Engineers are notified, they did survey the area. They're supposed to be getting back to me, so now the Army Corps of Engineers, I got involved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we noted that in last public
Yeah.
hearing. All right, so that being said, Commissioner,
Well, assuming there's no one else
is
wishes.
there anyone online who wishes to speak? Steve, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
I'll make a motion to close this public hearing.
Okay, motion to close by Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Jean Daly. Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, then, going into deliberations, why don't we take this to the town? It's under deliberations.
The deliberation item here is an extension. You'd like to ask. The audience, maybe they'd be interested to stay for our deliberation.
If you want to stay for, Commissioner George, he says, if you want to stay for deliberation on this, there's more comments. We'll try to do this as quickly as possible. Okay, deliberations for the applications of the Little House LLC, here by Christopher J. Smith Esquire, Altern Pearson LLC, submitted pursuant to general Connecticut General Statutes 8-32 Affordable Housing Land Use Field. This has been, this deliberation of applications will be continued to the terms of pending stipulation for judgment. Extension has been provided by the applicant. The court date has been set for the hearing on this stipulation. And this is for item I, proposed zone text amendment to create 11 TE planned residential infill development, including multifamily residential use with the housing opportunity or workforce housing component. And item 2, application for site plan approval to permit a 20-unit multifamily residential community on real property known as 1673 Berlin Turnpike, map 22-1, block 114, lot 10. Okay. And so, that is being continued to the next meeting then?
Yeah, yes, so I just do want to give you an update. We have had some communication with the court, specifically with Abby Bowker. She is the clerk to Judge O'Hanlon, who is the judge who's the presiding judge over the land use docket. We do have a 8-8N hearing date at this point, and it is going to be, I don't know, it's Monday, April 1st at 10 a.m. So notice will publish in the newspaper with regard to the planning and zoning case. We do expect that the wetlands case is also going to be addressed at the same time. I did meet with wetlands in executive session. They are going to be entertaining the modification to the approval that they, because remember, when you, prior to your denial of the application, the applications that are on appeal, wetlands had approved the permit to conduct regulated activity application. So that prior approval is still in effect. So what they're essentially doing with the settlement plan is they're looking for a modification of that prior approval. So they are going to hear that modification at their next regular meeting. So, we talked to the court, we are hopeful that everything will come together and that'll get approved. If it doesn't, then, we obviously will move forward with the court hearing, but we thought it would be best, to update the court and get the date and start to bring everything together. So again, we do have that date for the court hearing. And again, from the perspective of your case, we're going to be filing a motion for entry of the stipulated judgment. And so the court will be acting on that motion in your planning and zoning appeal. So that's Monday, April 1st at 10 a.m. and it is going to be a remote hearing. So the notice that we'll publish in the newspaper will indicate how to participate as well, who you need to contact and so forth. So, and I'm going to probably be mentioning this a couple more times.
Well, maybe.
I don't know why I wrote more than you might want to ask your questions.
So that it's out there, but it'll be published in the paper too.
Great.
Thank you.
Right after Easter too. Okay. All right, so then moving on to item B. You didn't need anything on that. Okay. No, okay. I didn't need a.
You do need a motion. You just need to continue these matters, deliberations, your next meeting, which is on Thursday, March the 2nd.
Okay. 7th, Mr. Zigma has the motion to continue and we have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Okay. Further discussion, all those in favor? Any those opposed, so moved. Moving on to the special permit site plan application of Tommy Kokomo Brothers for the proposed garden center, use of Walpole Ave, 398 Carolyn Highway, MDL 8-3-1F-68 property at DAT Investments LLC in the R21 zone. Okay, commissioners, what's the pleasure?
I'll start the conversation on this because initially I was in favor of encouraging additional uses for garden center as defined in our regulations. We've pointed out in at least 2 meetings since that initial meeting that this application did not in any way represent that the garden center use was going to be the primary use for this property. And so just on that basis alone, it doesn't comply at all with our definitions or the regulations to warrant any accessory use because there's not a primary use. And all violations aside, those are secondary to, or separate, I guess, from this application, but I would make a motion to deny the application for special permit with site plan application of Tom Kokomo Brothers
for proposed garden center use of Walpole at 398 Chamberlain Highway. Altogether. Okay. Well, we have a motion. Thank you for that. Do we have a second?
Second discussion.
Second for discussion by Mr. Zigma.
Can we put in that, no application would be as considered until all violations on the property are corrected?
That's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Zoning,
Well,
well, zoning, even just ours, not wetlands, ours.
the only concern that I have with that, to be clear, that's the reason why I acted the way that I did is because we sort of don't have a list, right?
Yeah.
And I am a big proponent, you know how I am about notice, right? Notice, because with enforcement, people have to have an understanding of what you're asking them to do. And for you to put such a broad, condition on your decision, I wouldn't recommend, because I think it needs to be specific. If you had a list of violations and said, advising the applicant that, before you come back to us with another application, you need to have A, B, and C addressed, that's because that's the most important thing when you issue an enforcement order, is they have to know what they need to do in order to comply with your regulations.
Bring it to
It needs to not be
bring
anything.
it to the previous application. Bring it to the site plan of the previous application, and then it'll be in conform to what the wetland line, everything else is on the previous application. So bring it to the site plan to the previous application is just before it comes back is you have all the information on the previous one. What was approved. So I'm not asking for anything else except what the approval was.
So that's a separate issue. It should be handled separately. I'm not inclined to amend my motion.
Okay, then
Okay.
I'll put my faith into our staff and I'll go with my second.
And because this is discussion, I just want to say for the record that when this was brought up, I really had hopes that we would be able to have a successful little business in there that was reminiscent, maybe this is my bad, reminiscent of back in the day when we had the Johnson florist back there and the gift shop back there. And that was a nice little place to go. It was, you didn't have to fight the crowds, you just always knew when they were open, and they always had top shelf stuff. So, I mean, again, just, I wanted to add that in there.
And basically in our talks here with them, that's what we said. We want the garden
Well,
center
I
and
wanted to
maybe
know-
the display area for the other people only, okay?
Anyone else?
So
Okay, enough to shut him up. Make sure we.
I'm off.
No. All right, so I'll call for the vote then. So no further discussion. So all those in favor of the motion, aye. Those opposed. Steve Biella, I didn't hear your vote. I'm sorry. Steve. Okay, well. I don't, so I got the majority, so. Steve Biella. Steve Biella. Okay, so he's abstained from voting or whatever, so, okay.
So the record should just reflect, sorry to interrupt, the record should reflect, that Mr. Viola did not take part in the vote on the motion made by Ms. Dorsey and seconded by Mr. Zigma. That the motion does carry 6-0.
Thank you. Next up is a special permit for site plan amendment for David Camacho Enterprises LLC to add a proposed automotive used dealer use per Berlin zoning regulation 6G, 3G, and 11R at 86 Woodlawn Drive, property of J&S Enterprises Incorporated, the BT1 zone. And this was, I believe, to continue, postponed. Okay, thank you. All right, so we don't need a motion on that, do we? Okay, so planner comments over that. Good night, everyone. They're happy with it.
Sometimes there are people there.
But we have to look up those people there. Okay, still planner comments, go ahead.
I just wanted you to know that the Lions Fair did submit their annual events as we determined, previous years. No new events are listed that are over 250 attendees, so therefore the zoning will be administratively reviewed. There are 2 new events that do have, we anticipate under 250 attendees. And you already saw the new event. Yeah, it's gonna be over.
Yeah, the pickles, which are all very good.
Also letting you know that the Keystone Fireworks, annual sale is also under administrative review. Same as last year, we routed it to the other departments, make sure nothing has changed before we confirm that it doesn't need to come back to the commission. In your packages, you'll have the notice, and some of you were previously discussing the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies Conference at AquaTurf at the end of March. If you can, please RSVP to Ashley in our office by March 14th, then we can make sure we have issued the financing timeline. Yeah, the check.
Well, bless you.
Tim is a yes.
What's the date?
It's early voting, if there's a vote. I have to vote.
Party animals. are great.
I'd love to go, but I don't know if I can go yet.
Okay, all right, and that's fine.
It might
It's
get
just
tough to
that.
really vote.
And we'll send, we'll do our best to
Well-
send a reminder or two if you've already RSVP'd and you sent it. This is on the list she'll get, so.
We'll know by the end of.
Say yes and something should come up, they cancel, we should know before the.
As long as, well, before I run the checks, really, it's really the key is that the town pays for what the town needs to
Well,
supply.
my intention is to go.
So, and most of you, just for the record, do have the ability to, you've already met your requirement, it's a two-year training.
2-year thing? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
training is 2-year, most of you have
This should be fine.
fulfilled that, but, there's new member, there's, other things, actually.
Well, they were talking
Airport. And then I also wanted to note, well, we have 2 more things to note, the economic development has distributed, I gave you the flyer, I have an email to go out to everybody that has the live link on it. But we didn't have that opportunity today to forward it to all commissions yet, so you'll be getting that if you're interested in going to the appreciation event that economic development does last year, Chuck Bar, I think I didn't even read it. I think it's a Chuck Bar again, seemed to be well received last year. I
have a question. Truck Bar is advertising an indoor farmers market.
What?
Every Saturday,
They are?
yeah. Every Saturday.
Where did you see that?
Every Saturday, 10 to 1,
Oh, please. Oh, God, you gotta go on Facebook.
every Saturday, 10 to
You
1.
find everything.
Oh, sometimes I don't want.
Yeah.
I will, especially with this AI stuff. Did you hear
Get
about that
better,
stuff?
be getting a good crowd too.
Well, and for the economic development to be holding a function there and for them to be violating seemingly violating what they're permitted to do, it's not really appropriate for a town
No,
function to really be
especially in the bar.
at a place violating.
Well, Yeah, because don't they usually do that farmer's market? Don't they usually do it
Well,
over
it's
across
been
from
at
the dairy
Hunterford, but
queen?
now they're doing it indoor.
Well, shouldn't they be permanent?
So I guess I'm kind
Oh,
of,
I'm sorry.
my head is going, you know, that is a commercial retail plaza, but that's,
Different uses.
a business that was permitted to go in as a restaurant use, I think, was the category. Now we have restaurants that sell goods. They Cracker Barrel. But again, what that permits says for their approval, I think I'd have to see if there were specifics in there, but it does seem to be something that they should have at least vetted through our office. And so that we could
I mean, I could,
scrutinize it and get an interpretation.
I could see if they put up tents in the parking lot, because it's such a big parking lot. And they had the tents removed where they had the farmer's market outside or whatever, or somebody came in to do that, because wasn't there a group in town that oversaw that?
Yeah.
I think that.
Well, and I kind of wonder, since we're in the middle of winter, what is it that they're selling?
Oh, oh, well.
Gonna bring comes it up. Me pet peeve for Antwerp dump. As you know, the fill area of Manafort dump was supposed to, our approval said that the level of the fill area was not supposed to come higher than Route 9. It is higher than Route 9. They cut it off. Last time I brought it up, they cut it down, but it's still higher than Route 9. But now they're doing storage on top. So all the tractor trailers are up there, the boxes, Jersey barriers all stacked up there, all kinds of stuff is stacked up on top of the pile. Higher than Route 9. So,
I'm not
I drive
familiar
by it
with
so many
the,
times.
I'm not familiar with the property or the parameters of the
Manafort dump.
approval, so I have
Manafort
to
dump.
look into that, yeah.
When they got the approval of the dump was not supposed to go higher than the elevation of Route 9. It is higher than, the dirt is higher than Route 9. And they're stuck in on top of that, so it's higher than trees. It's just over the years, all these properties seem to be. Okay, forget it, we can do whatever we want. The Carousel is the same thing across the street on Christian Lane. They got all their equipment on top of the Britain property, where those solar panels will go. And using all of the brick property on top of the hill. So, you know, and we're supposed to have a fence around that property and everything else, and no, not up and higher than the fence, and, you know, and it's, you know, it's just, they get approvals and they do whatever they want over the years. It's because no one remembers and they're.
Well, what's happening with that lighting pretty well. It's probably been blighted for 30 years.
So it's in litigation, it's in litigation again.
They still.
And it has at different points in time, as far as the landscaping and just removal of some of the miscellaneous items and so forth on there. You know, there have been times when things have been addressed. It's actually, it is coming up, for some court intervention. We've had several status conferences. It's a very long, very drawn out story.
Yeah.
And
I think 67 and 76 months.
it's very difficult. It's very, you know, blight enforcement can be very difficult. There is a vote there. There were vehicles, I think, that were removed at one time, and there's still vehicle there. You know, there's still remains a number of issues.
Yeah.
But Mr. Zajkowski, who's the owner, he does have counsel, he joined Barron, and you know, he's trying to bring it to conclusion. They did have a landscaper go out again, to clean the property, but, you know, there's there still
Yeah.
remains
Oh, yeah.
issues. And, you know, cause addressing the landscaping alone over time with something like that is,
Well, it's been,
yeah, that wasn't that long.
I think it's been there for over 30 years. I'll just keep going. Anyway, okay, that's it. That's it for me.
So, yeah, we're moving towards resolution. Just not sure what the end, exactly how that's gonna come at this point. Because we were on a path and kind of sidetracked. But it just was a good definition, like.
Yeah, just one more and then
City of New Britain.
don't be talking about New Britain, John.
The city of New Britain building on Christian Lane, that was the dump site for stuff. Get off the property, recycling place, whatever. It's right next to the way station to the left. Okay, it's covered with trees, you can't even see the property. And so fallen down now. And stuff. City of New Britain should knock that down and clean it up. Because it's a total.
I'm not on the clock.
It's whispering in your ear, but.
So, moving on. We did receive through the planning was served late, from Yukon Clear, an update about land use, commissioner training. One of you just said, oh, I just want to do the training because I want to. So, they indicated, and this is from Renata Bontati, we are currently expanding the Land Use Academy program to offer more land use commissioner training that is accessible both in person and virtually. That covers additional topics and are working to provide a new video training module for commissioners. As we are working on these items, we're also receiving a steady stream of requests for more training. To satisfy the immediate training demand, we will be providing our staple product, land use commissioners basic training, in a series of short 30 to 40-minute monthly webinars. These mini webinar training sessions will be offered at 12 noon on the third Thursday of each month, starting in March and ending in December, except for August. We are not requiring the registration and will not be providing the proof of attendance to commissioners. In addition to the monthly webinar series, in short order. One second.
The computer timed out.
They start in April.
They start in March,
March.
so it's the third Thursday.
Third Thursday.
Not new.
In addition to the monthly webinar, we can forward this to you. In addition to the monthly webinar series, in short order, we will also offer, I think this was interesting, basic training, putting community puzzle pieces together, land use from planning to implementation, at the fifth Thursday event hosted by the Northwest Hills Council of Governments on February 29th. So that's going to be virtual. It's going to be via Zoom. Then there's going to be a basic training, the legal requirements and procedures, rules and responsibility, and the land use puzzle pieces from planning to implementation, land use commissioner training on Saturday, April 27th. That's going to be at the Yukon Middlesex County Extension Center in Haddam, they're doing the ZBA training in May. And then it says in collaboration with CAPA, we are hoping to hold a full day commissioner training housing event. It's going to be a housing event on May 17th. The date and it says the date and the location for this event are still in the works. So just wanted to make you aware, you know, because that's kind of helpful that we're maybe moving towards the virtual too, because the inland wetlands training is available online. And you do get a certificate at the end of that if you complete that. That's an 8-hour, you know, do it whenever you can. And so maybe they'll be moving more towards that, which will be, I think, helpful for people too, right? If to have that option if you can.
No, it's better to do it online.
Okay, so we'll send that to you.
Yes.
And
And
as
I
we
can
get
just
more-
share it on the screen.
Take that picture.
Have it.
All right, that's it.
Just have your executive session.
No, we aren't going to do executive.
We have a list. It'll be relatively short.
So we'll be adjourned, be to invite Maureen and Jennifer to go into executive session. Okay. Don't have my-
Reading, just put it away. Steve, I know.
Well, all on the, phone.
Wake them up.
Okay,
I'm
so
up, Tim.
We will be closing this meeting to go into executive session. And we'll invite Maureen Giusti and Jennifer Coppola to discuss the status of pending litigation at 554 Berlin Turnpike Associates LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Berlin. Docket HHDCD 236170-450-S and possible action relating to same. And also item B, to consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of pending litigation of 554 Berlin Turnpike Associates LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin. Docket HHD CV 236170-450-S. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion. We have a second. Second. Perfect. Second by Audra Miller. All further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
So moved. And if anyone else is on Zoom land, we will be immediately adjourning the meeting following executive session. There will be no decisions made during the executive session or out of executive session, so, have a nice night. So we're gonna sign off here.